everybody, and welcome to Live Interactive English. I am Mike, and in one of our science articles for you this month, we have a very interesting look at blood. Now, we're not going to be talking about what blood does in our body or how it moves around our body. No. We're looking at more, why is it red? In other words, the color of blood. Because if I say blood, everyone goes, oh yeah, blood, that's the red stuff in our body, right? Well, it is, but of course it can be different colors for different animals, and it can also be different types of red in our own bodies. I mean, it's a little bit weird, but there are things in nature like blood that we connect with a color, right? The sky, the ocean. If I say those things, you probably think of the color blue. If I think of leaves or grass or trees, you would probably say, oh, those things are of course green. Now I think in both of those cases, blue sky and green trees, part of it is because the light that bounces off those things, it absorbs all the different frequencies of light except the color that bounces back, and that color is blue in the case of water or green in the case of leaves. Now, is the situation the same with blood? Because blood, of course, can change. We have blood that goes out of our body or out of our heart and lungs. It will be a different color because it has oxygen. The blood that comes back through different places in different ways, it's a darker, it's very, very complicated. So let's find out the color of blood, what is it, and why is it, and what's the explanation? And the question is, what makes our blood red? And our four possible answers are A, the oxygen in our bodies reflects red light. B, the fat content of our blood makes it appear red. C, blood contains a lot of salt, which is naturally red. Or D, a metal in blood appears red when combined with oxygen. It's common knowledge that humans have red blood, but some people may not know why. Our blood is red because of a protein in blood called hemoglobin, which contains iron. The iron in hemoglobin binds to oxygen and carries it around our bodies. When this metal binds with oxygen, the molecule reflects red light. Therefore, it is the presence of iron that makes our blood red. If you have ever seen a river that looked reddish-brown, it's likely due to iron deposits found underground. All right, so the article begins by saying something that I think we can all agree about. It's common knowledge that humans have red blood. Yeah, sure, anyone who's cut their finger knows that humans have red blood. But some people may not know why. Why is our blood red? Why isn't it green or blue or purple or orange? This is a good question. Maybe not a question you've ever really thought about, but when you do think about it, yeah, why is it red? That is a good question. Well, here's the simple answer. Our blood is red because of a protein in blood called hemoglobin, which contains iron. Because blood is one thing, but blood is actually made up of a lot of other things, right? White blood cells, red blood cells, corpuscles, all this kind of stuff. And also hemoglobin, which is just a nice word to say. Hemoglobin. Hemoglobin. It's just a nice word. Anyway, back to the article. The iron in hemoglobin binds to oxygen and carries it around our bodies. Wow, that is important because our blood is basically just a way of getting oxygen to the cells in our bodies to keep us alive. And the way the blood actually carries that oxygen is by binding with this hemoglobin. When something binds with or to something, it basically ties or attaches itself. You can bind things together by wrapping a rope and tying them together. A prisoner might have someone bind their hands to stop them from escaping or something like that. And you can also bind in other ways that you can't see. You can bind together with your friends and family because you have the same interests or something like that. So it joins, it connects, it brings two things together and makes them one. For example, the two substances will bind to each other when heated. This happens in chemistry and that kind of thing. All right, so what does this have to do with the color of blood? Well, we're getting to that. Hang on. When this metal binds with oxygen, the molecule reflects red light. So there you go. It's kind of working like how the water reflects the blue light, the trees reflect the green light, while the oxygen will reflect all of the other waves of light except the color red, or the frequency that we see as red. Therefore, it is the presence of iron that makes our blood red. So that makes us know that the answer to the question is answer D, which of course reads, a metal in blood appears red when combined with oxygen. So that's very interesting. Without the iron in our blood, it might be a different color. It's the presence of that iron that determines the color of the blood. Presence is just basically something being present. If something is there, its presence is a reality. Its presence is felt. Okay, when you want someone to be at your party in a formal way, you would say, I would request your presence at the party or at the meeting or something. I want you to be there. If someone is not your friend, someone might ask, hey, can Joe come to your party? Ooh, Joe, I don't like him. His presence will not be welcome. Okay, him being there is not something I would welcome or something I would want. So the presence of something is just it being there or it being a part of that thing. For example, Kate always behaves politely when in the presence of her parents. When she is with her parents, when they are there, she's always polite. When they're not, oh my gosh, she says bad words all the time. I don't like to be around her. Back to the article. If you have ever seen a river that looked reddish brown, it's likely due to iron deposits found underground. Very interesting. And of course, iron is also rust. And when we think of a rusty old bicycle and that iron that's kind of breaking down, rust is red as well. So there's a real strong connection there between iron and this color. And we can see it, as it said, in deposits of iron that might be flowing by in what looks like a dirty, polluted river. It might not be. It's just a lot of iron in that water, and these deposits can be found in nature. A deposit is an amount of something that is basically found somewhere. In this way, we're kind of talking about iron, gold, silver, things like that. And when miners are looking for stuff underground, they're hoping to find a big deposit of this metal, whatever metal they are looking for. So an amount that is left or placed in an area is a deposit. We can also talk about an amount of money that you put in the bank. That is a deposit of money, almost like it's a big pile of money or a big pile of gold buried underground. All right, let's take a break. Oh, before we do, we should read the example sentence. The miner searched for a year before he found a deposit of gold in the mountains, and now he's rich. Let's take a break.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。同学们知道血为什么是红色的吗？这是因为血液中有一种叫做血红素的蛋白质，它含有铁质。那么血红素中的铁跟氧结合，并携带氧到我们的全身。当这种金属跟氧结合的时候呢，这种分子就会反射红光。所以呢，就是铁的存在让我们的血液呈现红色。那些看起来呈现红褐色的河流，它很有可能就是地下铁矿所造成的。我们来看单字 bind，bind 它表示结合或是使结合，之后常常会接 to 加名词来表达与什么结合。再来表达 presence， 它是指那种存在啊、出现啊、出席的意思，是当名词。还有 deposit， 我们有时候会看到它有那种定金、押金的意思，可是在这边它是指沉淀物、沉积层。好，再来文中的 hemoglobin， 它是指血红素、血红蛋白。它的字首 HEMO， 同学们可以记一下，就是表达血。那么 Mike 老师则说到这个 corpuscle， corpuscle 是指血球。这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，我们先前有简单提过分列句，那我们这边就来看看分列句的用法。分列句是用来强调句中的主词、受词、时间或地方副词或副词片语，那把强调的部分摆在 it is和 that 之间，或是 it was 和 that 之间。 句子其他的部分则摆在 that 之后，所以这个句型就是 it is 或 it was 加强调部分加 that 加句子其他部分。例如 The smell of coffee drew me to the kitchen。我们现在用分列句去强调这个主词 the smell of coffee。句子可以写作 It was the smell of coffee that drew me to the kitchen。是咖啡的香味把我吸引到厨房。好，那另外当分列句强调的部分是人 ，that 可以改成 who。举例来说 ，It was Sarah who told him the secret, not me。是 Sarah 把秘密告诉他的，不是我啦。好，接话课文中。
Not all blood is red, however. Animals like snails and octopuses have a different protein in their blood that contains copper rather than iron. When copper binds with oxygen, the molecule reflects blue light, giving these creatures blood that looks blue. Some people mistakenly believe humans also have blue blood because our veins appear blue beneath our skin. However, our blood is still red. The veins just appear blue because of how light travels through the skin. Red light is absorbed by skin and fat, while blue light is reflected, so our veins look blue. All right, so this explains why human blood is red. But remember, I don't think I need to tell you this. Humans aren't the only animals with blood. There are many other types of animals with blood, but I would say it's probably safe to assume that most mammals, most warm-blooded animals like us, dogs, cats, cows, birds, no, not birds, whales, they probably all have red blood, right? But not all blood is red, however. There are other types of animals very different from us. It would make sense. They would have very different blood. For example, animals like snails and octopuses have a different protein in their blood that contains copper rather than iron. Oh, a totally different metal moving around in their bodies. We have a little bit of copper in our bodies, but not enough to really be important. But they have lots of copper and not so much iron. So how does this affect their blood? Well, think about the last time you were eating some seafood or at the seafood market. When copper binds with oxygen, the molecule reflects blue light, giving these creatures blood that looks blue. And you might have read in a story, in a book somewhere, yeah, lobsters and crabs, I think also, they have blue blood. That's because of the copper they have in their bodies, which is different from the iron in our red blood. Some people mistakenly believe humans also have blue blood because our veins appear blue beneath our skin. If you can see those veins, those tubes that the blood travels through, they do look blue or kind of greenish, but that's not the blood. That's just the outside of the vein. And this is visible through our skin or beneath our skin. When something is beneath, it's basically under something. It could be touching that thing. It could be further. You could hide beneath a table. You can hide under a table. You can lose your shoes because they went beneath your bed or under your bed or something like that. But if something is higher, and something is lower, this thing that is lower is beneath the thing that is higher, like Romeo. Romeo stood beneath Juliet's window and he said his love poem, and she threw down a red rose and it cut him on the mouth because it's a rose and red blood came out, and oh, it wasn't a very good play. Back to the article. However, our blood is still red. The veins just appear blue because of how light travels through the skin. Red light is absorbed by skin and fat, while blue light is reflected, so our veins look blue. So there you go. It's not actually the vein. It's again just the light being absorbed, and the light that bounced back is a certain wavelength, and that looks like a certain color because all of the other light is absorbed into the skin. To absorb something is basically to take it in and make it part of you, especially if we're talking about a liquid. A towel will absorb water. If you let something soak in something and it gets bigger, it was because it is absorbing the liquid. And of course, when we use a sponge and then we have to squeeze out the sponge because it's getting too wet, that's because the sponge has absorbed too much water. All right. Paper towel, the example sentence says, The paper towel wasn't able to absorb all of the water on the table. There was too much water and it couldn't fit into the paper towel, so we needed more paper towel to absorb the rest of the water. Let's look at our what do you think question. When you see blood, how do you usually react and why? Oh, this is an interesting question. I will tell you, when I see blood, I react badly. I think it's because it's probably my blood and it's out of my body and it should be in my body, and I probably let it out of my body by cutting my fingers when I was chopping vegetables, and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna faint and I should go to the hospital, but there's blood everywhere. I don't really like it, so it's not something I do very often. If it's someone else's blood, I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of blood. I'm glad I'm not you. But when it's my blood, I'm extremely unhappy because the blood should be in the body and not out the body. I know my blood is red, I just don't need to see it, so thank you very much. Take care of yourselves, guys. Be careful with knives and sharp objects. Keep as much of your blood in your body as you can. I'm not a doctor, but I think it's good advice, and we'll see you back here sometime soon. Until then, be well, take care, and bye-bye.
Mike 老师刚刚提到，大多数哺乳类动物的血液是红色的。那么 mammal M-A-M-M-A-L mammal 就可以指哺乳动物。好，课文接着就写到说，并非所有的血液都是红色的，像蝸牛啊、章鱼等等动物的血液中含有不同的蛋白质，那含有铜而不是铁。当铜跟氧结合时，这种分子会反射蓝光，让它们的血液看起来是蓝色的。那话说回来啦，人类的血管在皮肤下看起来是蓝色的，为什么会这样呢？原因在于光线穿过皮肤的方式，红光会被皮肤和脂肪吸收，那么蓝光会被反射，所以我们的血管呢看起来是蓝色的。好，单字 beneath。这个介系词它就表示在什么下面，在什么之下。那么 absorb 这个动词表示吸收。好，这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，我们来看这个重点是 appear 当连缀动词的时候，是指看起来、显得怎么样、似乎怎么样，就跟 seem 的意思用法相同。那以下介绍两个常见句型。第一种，你可以用 appear to be 形容词或名词，那 to be 可以省略。例如 They appeared to be hungry and thirsty， 他们看起来又饿又渴。好，第二个句型是 appear to 加原形动词，像 He appears to get along well。with his teammates， 他看起来跟队友们相处融洽。好，那以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
It's common knowledge that humans have red blood, but some people may not know why. Our blood is red because of a protein in blood called hemoglobin, which contains iron. The iron in hemoglobin binds to oxygen and carries it around our bodies. When this metal binds with oxygen, the molecule reflects red light. Therefore, it is the presence of iron that makes our blood red. If you have ever seen a river that looked reddish-brown, it's likely due to iron deposits found underground. Not all blood is red, however. Animals like snails and octopuses have a different protein in their blood that contains copper rather than iron. When copper binds with oxygen, the molecule reflects blue light, giving these creatures blood that looks blue. Some people mistakenly believe humans also have blue blood because our veins appear blue beneath our skin. However, our blood is still red. The veins just appear blue because of how light travels through the skin. Red light is absorbed by skin and fat, while blue light is reflected, so our veins look blue.
Many historical sites and objects are scattered along curvy Lukang Old Street, offering visitors the chance of going on a treasure hunt. The half-side well has stood firm since Lukang was first developed. At the time, digging wells for drinking water was a luxury that only rich families could afford. Thus, two households often resorted to sharing a single well with a wall down the middle as a partition. The half-side well, located on number 12 Yao Lin Street, was designed so half of the well was open to the public, allowing neighbors and poor families to collect water. This generous act is truly admirable. The words carved into the lintel suggest that the owner of this well was an intellectual. Lukang Gate, located on Ho Cha Lane, was built on the border of gang leaders' territories to reinforce defense because turf wars were common in Old Lukang. Out of dozens of gates, the one on Ho Cha Lane is the only one still standing. Welcome to Ho Cha is carved onto the plaque. Lukang Gate is built out of red brick with granite pillars on either side. The original wooden door has since succumbed to the elements of nature, but Lukang Gate continues to project a vintage atmosphere. It was designated as a county-level historical site in 2000. Walk into the alley next to Hexing Police Station on Zhongshan Road, look up to the left, and you'll see an entire row of jars embedded in the wall. In the past, locals would bury a jar of Shaoxing wine whenever a child was born into the family. If a boy performed well on the imperial exam, the wine would be dug up and used in a celebratory banquet. This type of celebratory wine was known as Zhuangyuan Hong. If the family had a girl, the wine would be used as dowry and referred to as Nuer Hong. After the wine was finished, the empty jars would be embedded into the walls, thereby maximizing the use of the jars while demonstrating creative architectural aesthetics.